directly interacting with the application. How exactly it is? We'll be giving property name and the property value by spy. Okay, let me start with an example so that you are much more in a clear sense. Okay, let me give the test case also to you. Let me open a new test. Okay, first and foremost thing is let me launch through the QTP. How do I launch it through QTP? I hope at least this line of code you will be familiar with. The first line of code is launch. How exactly, guys? If you do not practice, right, even to write this line of code is very difficult. Trust me. Okay, when you see this, it will be easier, but you have to practice, guys. Please practice. Okay, system.run iexplore.exe. Okay, paste the URL. Let me launch this. Let me launch the application through the QTP. If you closely observe, okay, for LOR on Monday, on day 2 session, okay, we entered principal, interest, months, clicked on the calculate, and we just took the output of the output. Let me just enter. My test case says enter the principal, enter the interest, and enter number of months. Click on the calculate. I need to see what is the output in the EMI. Everybody with me? What's my test case is saying? Enter principal, rate of interest, number of months, click on calculate and get the output value. So to perform this, what we did in the day 2 session, we added these objects into the object repository and we interacted with the application. Now for the same thing, for the same test case, I'll be using descriptive programming, guys. I'll be using descriptive programming. Okay. Now, if you see here, the today's session, it says there are two kinds of descriptive programming. One is static descriptive programming and other one is dynamic descriptive programming. Okay. Let me give the definition for static descriptive programming. Static descriptive programming is nothing but it is like the object properties are hard coded. Let me repeat, static descriptive programming is nothing but the object properties are hard coded. Let me prove that. Okay, I'll define what is dynamic descriptive programming when I come to the dynamic descriptive discussion. Okay, now as I said, I'll be directly interacting with the application. There won't be any interaction with the object repository. How do I do that? How do I do that? Let me just refresh it so that everything is blank. Now, earlier what we used to do, we used to get into the object repository and add those things. Or if we use the SOR, we used to get into the object repository manager. Now, it is nowhere related to this area. You'll be wondering how exactly now QTP will interact. Okay, it is very simple, guys. What I do is I need to spy this. Click on spy. Click on this hand symbol. What do I need to work with? The first object. The first object is what? It's a web edit. And the parent hierarchy is what? The browser. Okay, so how do I go about now? Which one shall I take? Which property shall I take? Let me take the title property. What I did is I place the cursor here, copying that. Okay, for the first thing, closely observe. Closely observe, guys. The syntax is something like this. The AOM remains the same, guys, whether it's a descriptive programming or whether it's the object repository. Okay, browser, open bracket. Which property we took? Title equal to is a syntax. Title is the property name. What was the value which we copied? It is general EMI calculator. Close the bracket. Then dot page, open bracket. Okay, how do I take the property name and the property value? Again spy it. Move this across. Which property we need to take? Reach out to the page. what it is, the title is, I clicked here, closely observe guys, I clicked here and I'm taking the property value. So how do I write the code now? Title colon equal to general EMI calculator dot, what is the next object guys? Spy this. Okay, initially you will feel okay, it seems to be somewhat in a different manner, but you'll get used to it guys. What property, I mean which object it is? Web edit. And which property shall I take now? Shall I take the name? Okay, name is what guys? Principal. I'll copy that. Okay, what is the object which we have? Web edit, open braces, name colon equal to principal. What do you need to do on that? What do you need to perform on that object? It is dot set, and shall I give the value as 10,000? Okay, so we have written one line of code. Shall we see whether it is working properly or not before getting into the next line of code? So how do I execute only line number 6? Place the cursor here. What we need to do? Control F5. Control F5. Click on run. What happened in the background? In the application, it entered 10,000 guys. Did we have anything in the object repository now? Nothing. We are directly using the property name and the property value. Everybody getting it? The AOM remains the same, but we use the property names and the property value inside the braces. Earlier what it used to be there? It used to be having the logical names from the object repository. Now what it is there in the descriptive programming? It's having the property names and the property values. Now what is this title? It is the mandatory property. It is, what is this general EMI calculator? It's the value of the mandatory property. What is this for the page? Mandatory property, and this is the value of that property. Here for web edit, the property name, and it is the value of the property. Finally, the other AOMs or the method still remains the same way guys. Hope you feel it a little bit fine now. Okay, let me just write the code for another set of lines so that you'll be much more clearer. So now how do I go about for the rate of interest? It is like object spy, have the hand symbol, spy it across. Okay, we're on a same browser. Title is what? It's the same thing. I could have copy pasted. I just want to make you people familiar. What it is? Browser, open braces, title colon equal to what it is? General EMI calculator. Since we are on the same browser, same page, the property will still remain the same. So how do I get the page title thing? Spy like this, hand symbol, reach out here. How do I reach the page? Select this page, take out the title, copy that. Okay, write the property name colon equal to the property value. What is the next object? I believe it's a web edit. It's a wild guess guys. I mean, don't go with the look and feel of the objects in the application. When you spy it, it might be something else. So always go with what exactly the spy says. Okay, it's a web edit. Which property should we take? The name is what? Interest. Okay, it is web edit, open braces, name colon equal to interest. How do I enter the value now? Dot set. Okay, what is the interest value which you want to give? Say assume I give 12. Okay, now what should be the next line of code? Number of months. Are we in the same browser, same page? Shall I copy paste till here? I hope there is no issues. We are on the same browser, same page guys. The property name and the property value will still remain the same. That is why I am copying that. I hope there is no issue on that. When I copy paste, I am a bit scared whether you are following or not. We are on the same browser, same page. I have copy pasted that. What is the next object? I need to spy on that. Click on the object spy, spy it, click here. Okay, so it's a web edit, and what property should we take? Name is what? Something called as installment. Okay, I say web edit. What is the property? property name, it's called as name property itself, and value is installment. Dot set, how many months you want? 130 months. Okay, now I need to click on this calculate. I don't know what object it is. I need to click on the calculate. Okay, here I'll give a comment statement saying that enter the input. Okay, here click on the calculate. How do I go about that? What do I need to do, guys? What do I need to do? For that, I need to spy this. Okay, click on the calculate. What object it is coming as? It's a web button. So what is the hierarchy for browser? Are we in the same browser, same page? If it is yes, I can copy paste the hierarchy in the page. It's the same thing. Since we are on the same browser, same page, okay, shall I copy paste the hierarchy? I'm going to copy paste this hierarchy dot, what it is, the next one is basically what object it is, spy it. Let me just reconfirm. Click on calculate. It's a web button. Which property shall we take, guys? Okay, name is calculate. I'm copying that and pasting that. What it is? Web button. What property it is? Name colon equal to calculate. What method you want to use on that? Dot click. So shall we just execute the things? From where I can execute? From line number 6. Shall I re-execute it? Okay, so I place the cursor there. What is the run from the step shortcut key is? Run from the step shortcut key is Control F5. So I place the cursor there, Control F5. Let us see whether whatever we have written is working properly or not. Click on the run. It entered, basically the action performed is it entered 10,000, 12 and 130. Output we obtained, that is our actual result, is 137.8. 137.8. Okay, now how do we go about? Okay, so how do I take the output of this application? Any guys? Any guess, guys? How do I take the output or the actual result? How to take the output? How do I take the output or actual result? Anybody remember? Anybody remember the day 2 class? How do I take the actual result? First and foremost thing is I need to reach this object. Don't you think I need to reach this object? First and foremost thing is I need to reach this object and say get arrow property. Okay, when I say get arrow property, I'll get the actual value. Okay, so how do I do that? How do I take the actual value? So how do I reach here? First and foremost thing is how do I reach there? For that, what do I need to do? You should be now familiar with. Click on the object spy, hand symbol. Now first identify what object it is. What object it is, guys? It's again a web edit. So just check what is the browser property. Browser property is still remains the same. The title is same. Page title is same. And the standard object is web edit. So till there shall I copy paste? That is basically browser page. Okay, we are on the same browser, same page even after this thing. Click on the calculate. Okay, same browser, same page. What object we are working on now when we spied it? It is web edit. So which property shall we take? Again spy it. Click on the hand symbol. This hand symbol. Now how do I go about? Which property shall I take? Name is total. Okay, so open quotes, name colon equal to what? Total. we reach the object. Don't you think with this AON we are reaching the object? But how do I take the output? How do I take the output? Which is very important, guys. This line of code, right, you will be seeing in all the test cases. Every time our objective is, first initially we need to navigate and then take out the actual value. To take out the actual value, it's nothing but is the output from the application. To do that, the one of the most important method is get RO property, get runtime object property. So what do I need to do? I need to say get RO property. Okay, get RO property inside the bracket. You need to take some property name to get that output. So how do I take that? Click on the object spy again, spy it. Okay, click here. Which property will give me the output, guys? What is the output here? 137.8. Okay, which property is going to give me 137.8? Okay, let me start from the beginning. Okay, class name, all these are there. Okay, which property will give me the basically what is the output? 137.8. Do you see anywhere 137 point here? Which property is going to give me that? The property is called as value, and its value is 137.8. Okay, so how do I go about now? How do I go about get RO property of what I should give? I should be giving as value so that it gives me the output 137.8. Everybody clear, guys? What I did is I spied it. I just see which property is going to give me that value, whatever is displayed in the application. That property name is called as value. So I'll be using that. So how do I write it? Get arrow property of value. Okay. Once I take the output, okay, I need to store it in a variable. Okay. Shall I write something called as actual underscore result equal to? So now what happens is, first it executes, it reaches till the web edit, it reaches this line of code, right, line number 16. First what happens is, it will get executed. First it will see where exactly my object is. First it reaches the object till the web edit. Till web edit it reaches the object. Okay, it identifies. Then with what it does is, it takes the output from the object. What exactly it is having? 137.8. Okay, 137.8. This output is in return where it is placed, where it is stored. It is stored in a variable called as actual result. Okay, now how do I display it? How do I use that? Shall I say message box actual result, actual result. Okay, now shall we execute this and see, guys? Shall I execute from line number 6? How do I execute the code from line number 6? Control F5. Why I'm not executing from the beginning? You'll be wondering why this guy is not executing from the beginning, because it would launch another browser and it will try to execute. It would say there are two objects, and so if there are multiple browsers, right, it won't identify the object, it will throw the error message. So already my application is open, so that's why I am trying to execute from the line number 6. If I say Control F5, what it should do is, it should enter principal rate 10, this thing, and the message box is, if you see here, the actual result is 137.8. 137.8. Okay, this is our actual result. Okay, now any doubts, guys? Let me just repeat. What we did is, without object repository, without using the object repository, if you see here, there is nothing available in the object repository. Without using the object repository, we started writing the code. Now it directly interacts with the application. Okay, so this is the mandatory properties, basically the title and all those things. Property name and property values are used, and colon equal to is a syntax, guys. Then all the other things were remaining the same way. The AOM, all those stuffs are remained in a same manner. Okay, now I want to say something like this. See, the actual result is what exactly now? If you see here, my actual result is 137.8. Okay, 137.8, and say if I have my test data or in the Excel sheet at the top of the say if I have the expected result something like this in a variable, expected result equal to what? 137.8. Okay, expected result, I put it in a variable like this, 137.8. Okay, and here till now you are seeing this actual result as a message box, right? Shall I give something called as, let me just use something called as print. If I use a print statement, you will see a output in this print log, guys. It's a QTP log files, QTP log where the result are stored. Okay, in actual, I've given a expected result equal to 137.8. Okay, let me just close this. Okay, and execute this stuff. Now, what exactly my actual result is? Did we validate anywhere in this case? We just navigated, we took the output value. Generally our test case will do what? We'll compare the expected result and the actual result and say pass or fail. In our manual testing also we would see, okay, expected result in the test case sheet it says 137.8, or the expected result in our test data says 137.8. Then manually we see in the application it shows 137.8. We'll be typing it as pass or fail. We'll give the result as pass or fail. Now how do we do that? Through a coding manner. As of now I have not done the validation part. I just want to showcase you how exactly this print statement will work. Okay, before doing that, let me just save this test. As, am I in the correct folder? Yes, December 2014. I'll say static DP. When I say DP, try to understand, guys, it is descriptive programming. Let me save this. It's very important, guys. In the interviews, for sure they are going to ask the descriptive programming. They'll give one scenario and they'll say, okay, write the code using the descriptive programming. Okay, let me just execute, or let me comment it. If you are getting confused, let me just comment this as well. Okay, my objective is now is to see whether how to launch the application, enter those values, take out the output value. That output value, earlier it used to be having a message box. What I'll do is I'll have the message box also, so when you practice you get to know the things. I'll have the message box as well, but I will comment it. You just see how exactly the print works. The whole objective of the execution now is how exactly the print is going to be working. Okay, let me give the run. Click on the run statement. Okay, now if you see, earlier we used to have a message box. We used to get that like a pop-up kind of a thing. Now can you see the output, the print log, it says 137.8. There were no stoppages when it was executing. Message box are not used in real-time projects, guys. Only message box are used like a debugging manner. It is used for debugging. Other than that, message box are not used because it interrupts the execution. When we say it interrupts the execution, automation are done in such a way that it's like on a evening, right? Assume you work from 9 to 6. Okay, around 8 o'clock you need to execute around 300 test cases. You give a scheduled run. When you come for the next day, the results should be available. So when you use a message box in your what you call in your code, right? the execution gets stopped until unless someone says okay, right, clicks on okay, the code will not get executed. So that's why the message box writing of the code is not encouraged. It is not used at all. Okay, if at all you want to see the things in the log file, you can use a print statement. And the next thing is this print, this kind of a log, QTP feature log file, do we use it? Okay, very few projects uses this. We'll be writing our own log files, guys. Okay, in the projects, in the framework, we'll be writing our own log files that is used with something called as FSO. We'll be having a separate session for that, which is at high importance. Okay, any manager or any technical lead in the interview, they are more worried about how the person writes the log file. So for sure, you'll be having the questions in the interview and in the certification also. Okay, there are in-depth analysis for the log files. We'll be discussing that when we are doing that. As of now, whatever the log files which you see here is the QTP feature log files. As we say, right, the QTP features usage will be minimized because most of the framework, most of the projects in real time, they minimize the tool dependency. Okay, they try to write the generic codes. Okay, so now the next thing is, I hope everybody understood what this print is actually doing. It's giving the output in the print log. Okay, now the next thing which I want to showcase is, okay, let me brief you on the definition part. In definition, right, in definition, we said, okay, static descriptive programming, the object properties are hard coded. Don't you see the objects, the properties are hard coded here? We say title colon equal to, and here web edit name colon equal to. The object properties are hard coded. Basically, this object properties are hard coded. Okay, the definition gets sufficed here. Definition gets proved here. Okay, now the next thing is the validation part. See, navigation part, to do it is very simple, guys. Any person can do. Okay, our skill set as an automation tester comes into the line number from 18. Okay, if you tell even any person, right, a layman, how to navigate, if you give them the syntax, they can easily navigate. Our entire skill set comes in how to take the output value or how to take the actual value and validate that. Okay, now from I have a variable which is created at the top. Expected result is what, guys? 137.8. Now how do I say something has passed or something has failed? Okay, so this log file, right, shall I clear that? Clear all lines. Okay, how do I say something has passed and something has failed? If condition. Okay, if starts with always any code, right, or any function or any activity which you are going to do in real-time scenarios or real-time projects, right, you'll be having a if condition, right? Without the if condition, the code won't be completed. Somewhere you will be validating something when you are saying something has pass or fail. Okay, so if condition, how do I say something has pass or fail now? It should be very simple. If expected result, if expected result, if expected result equal to, let me delete this. If expected result equal to what, guys? If expected result equal to actual result, then how can we say? What we can say? Print pass else print fail. Okay, if expected result equal to actual result, then print pass and print fail. Okay, so finally we'll close the browser. Later on we'll close the browser. I want to write the code. I need to see the validation and finally this write the code for the closing the browser. Okay, now how do I go about? Okay, shall I execute this completely and see? what exactly my result is. Okay, let me close this browser. I'm closing it manually, but I'll be writing that in a code as well. Okay, if I give a run statement, now you should closely observe, guys, and if there is any problem also, right, let me know what exactly the problem might be. Okay, if you see here what exactly the output is, first is what the actual result, it is printing 137.8. The second is what it is printing as pass. If expected result equal to actual result, then print pass else fail. So how do I close the browser, guys? Now any guess what exactly my code would be? We are on the same browser, same page. Shall I take this hierarchy? Browser, close. Okay, so dot, what exactly the hierarchy should be? Dot close. Okay, let me clear this. Let me clear this. If I execute this now, what it should happen? It should execute completely. Okay, you'll be seeing purposefully, I mean, we'll be making the mistakes and we'll be debugging. As of now, the debugging skills have not come into the picture. Okay, we'll sometimes purposefully make it, sometimes the accidentally the mistakes happens. We'll be debugging those things. You'll get to know all those things, guys. Okay, 137.8 and the result is passed. Do we see the browser? It got closed. Okay, so guys, I'll just reiterate. First thing what we did is we launched the browser, we clicked on the calculate button, we spied it and written the syntaxes like this. The AOM remain the same way like your OR. When I say AOM, it's nothing but your hierarchy, browser page and all those things. This line of code, line number 18, was very, very important, where we take the actual result. Okay, the first and foremost thing is the navigation part for any test case, and the last part before the validation part, we need to take out the output. For that, the most important part, the method is get RO property, guys. Okay, so till you know QTP, you should not forget get RO property. Okay, if you are forgetting get RO property, then think that you don't know QTP. It's as simple as that. Okay, get arrow property is at high importance, guys. 99.99%. You don't even have the what you call. I mean, you should not even forget that. It's very, very, very important. Get arrow property is nothing but to take the output value or the actual result. Okay, and the next part is after get arrow property. The next thing which you should not forget is comparing the expected result and the actual result. In manual, we actually compare. In manual also, we actually compare through our eyes, saying that, okay, expected and actual are both the same. But we are writing that through a code in here. Okay, any test case, right? The way of writing is first you need to launch it and last line you need to close it, because in the framework also we follow the same structure. In the framework also we follow the same structure. And if you see here, whatever the code we have written, the next question is, whatever the code we have written here, will it the same way we'll be doing in our real-time project? Whatever the code we have written is called as a linear script, guys. Okay, you won't be writing the linear script, you'll be writing the functions. Okay, this is like the college out guys will write the code like this. Okay, they'll write the linear script like this. But with the respect to the project specification, right, on a day-to-day basis, you will be putting this entire set of code inside a function. You'll be wondering what exactly this function is all about. Okay, we'll be having a separate session, functions, that will be next Thursday. Okay, it is very, very, very important. Okay, if at all anybody ask in future, okay, what your daily activity is in your project, that might be your question in the interview also. Okay, you should be writing, you should be stating I was writing the functions. On a day-to-day basis, the bread and butter for the automation testers is writing the function. As a manual tester, develop the test case, review the test case, and executing the test case. That was your activity. Okay, and tracing the bugs till the closure, and you need to follow it up. As a automation testers, right? Okay, you will be writing the function. You see the test case. Okay, that steps. You first write the linear script like this. You'll be doing a dry run, and we will be encapsulating that within a function. Now the couple of questions you'll be having. This variable, it is not defined. It is not defined as a float or int as or any other what you call the data type as we have in other different technologies. In VBScript, there is no need to define. If at all this is a float, right? Expected result will become a float data. Okay, so how exactly to declare and how to do that in the framework control will be like discussing in detail on that. Okay, now the next question you'll be having is, okay, here